I will be explaining how I have 4 different heating sources in my custom Sprinter camper van RV, Class B, fully self-contained. The preferred heating method I have is a diesel heater. I have it mounted here behind the driver's seat for the reason it's pretty much out of the way there and has a unobstructed flow out. The refrigerator is mounted next to it, but the heat flow is exactly right in front and doesn't affect the cooling of the refrigerator, loss of efficiency. Many people like to mount behind or actually underneath the passenger seat because there's a void space in here and they have it venting out this way. But I like it on this side of the vehicle because of the way the exhaust and intake is mounted over there, because on the passenger side I have the plumbing taking up a lot of space. So either side is okay, and I will get into some details. The advantage of a diesel heater over propane and other methods: electric requires a tremendous amount of energy. You have to be plugged in to a campground or shore power somehow. You will not be able to run that off of solar, especially at night. And it does not off-gas anything. This is just pure clean air coming in. And underneath the vehicle, which I'll show in a little bit, has a intake and an exhaust. And my dog is begging again for something. I don't know what. The control for the heater is right there. It's a little bit convoluted how to operate this particular Russian model. This one is made in Russia, and I purchased it 16 months ago on eBay, $625. They're available these days now is about half as much, supposedly. Sounds too good to be true. I don't know. Anyway, there's somebody selling it on eBay that cheap, supposedly. I also have a website, econito.org, under the off-grid living and power and appliances diesel heater. I have lots of details, photos to help you install one if you want to install it yourself. Tippy what? I gave you a whole bunch of attention already. That's my primary source of heat. A secondary source of heat: if I am plugged into a campground, why not use their power to save me money on not having to burn my diesel from my fuel tank? So here I have this Dyson heater. These are expensive, about $350 on up, and the reason why I like this one for electric is because it distributes heat very evenly throughout the vehicle, as opposed to all the other cheap electric heaters tend to distribute heat directly in front, and which is also a little bit more of a fire hazard. But this needs about 1,500 watts. So I have to keep the power cord as short as possible and get it going directly into the inverter that I have mounted there. So no power strips. This is not the heater. This is for the stove. The stove is okay on a power strip because I don't use it for a long enough period to worry about fire hazards, and I'm there monitoring it. But this thing could be left on all night long, so I don't want to be worried about that at night, so I keep the cord as short as possible. Alright, so there's my second heating method. My third heating method: this is a DC heater. I think its output is something like 300 watts maybe. This my battery will run for probably just a couple hours at the most. I only use this for emergency purposes, or let's say during the day I have a lot of solar power available, a lot of sun hitting the panels, and it's still cold, which is kind of unusual, but it does happen. That's when I'll run this, so that will be free power during the day. It'll use too much energy at night and drain the battery, hurting the battery. So that's what that's for. That's the third source of heat. The fourth source of heat would, of course, be running the engine, the diesel, the actual Mercedes, in this case a Sprinter, running the actual engine, and that's the least recommended method. That would be for emergency purposes only, or for just a short time. This diesel heater works extremely well. I've been using it for 16 months. It distributes heat very evenly throughout the vehicle. Although it looks a little messy back here, that's just the way it is right now until I clean it up some more. So it has an intake way in the back there. I have to keep clear, fairly clear, so the air intake, and then the output here. I don't quite understand how this works. It has two intakes. There's one intake back there, and it has another intake underneath the vehicle. I believe the one under the vehicle is to, I don't know, help burn the diesel fuel to create heat, and then the one in the back, the fan in the back here, is to push the heat through the front in a non-toxic manner. All right, it looks like it's about time to show how I have it mounted underneath the vehicle, which you can see on the website, but the pictures are a little limited and sometimes confusing where this is located unless you see for yourself, which I'll go do now. And then after I show you this, I'll run the diesel heater. Probably should have run it first, but here's how it's mounted under the vehicle. This is the exhaust, and it has some kind of muffler and a spark arrestor, and the air intake is this right here to help combust the fuel with oxygen. It has a fuel pump located here, and it taps directly into the Mercedes diesel fuel tank. 2007 on up models, you can tap right into it, right there, without having to lower the tank. 2006 and below, you have to drop the tank. This is the second generation Sprinter. I assume the third generation coming out in 2018. You can also tap right into it. Surely they won't forget to have that feature. Now we'll turn the diesel heater on. This model, which works different than S-Bar and the other ones, first so let's see here, I have to pay attention to those lights on the left. Then I hit the middle one, and when both lights are on, that means it's going to start running. And I believe that's temperature in Celsius. I generally like to run it around 15 to 18 at night. So now it's on. It's pretty quiet. It's going to start pumping fuel, and then it'll come on. There will be many viewers who do want to watch this and many that don't. If you don't want to watch and wait for it to come on, you can go ahead and like the video and subscribe and leave some comments. For those who want to wait and see how this works, it'll be just a minute it'll come on. I don't want to fast forward so that you can actually experience how long it takes for this to come on. Now you hear that tapping sound? That's the fuel pump underneath the vehicle. Every few seconds it makes a tap noise. That's because it's pumping. The reason I put that red tape in front is so I don't forget that's hot air coming in there, and I don't set something in there in front that can melt. And the reason for this right here is because normally I have things stored on top that I moved for demonstration purposes on the driver's seat. That's what all this clutter is here. These drawers would normally be on top, and this power strip would normally be right in here with everything plugged in, but I moved it all out so you can see how this works. Now you can hear the air coming through finally, and it's getting a little louder as the fan goes in higher mode as it's combusting diesel fuel. So starting right about now, it's starting to warm up. It can get extremely hot. This is the 4 kilowatt model. I wonder if I should have gotten the 2, because this is 100 square feet. This 4 kW will roast you out fast if you don't have this set at the right temperature, which could be dangerous if you leave a pet in here. Forget about your pet. Let's say you have it set on something like 30. Your dog will have a your pet will have a heat stroke at 30 if you leave it like that. Don't ever leave it at 30. I would say for pets, something like 16 would be good. The newer models may be slightly different. When I sleep at night, I have it around 16. That keeps it around 65, sometimes 70 degrees. And I push the middle button once, and that light on the left starts flashing to signify now it's going to shut off. As far as outside noise, it's very negligible, not much. You hear a little electric motor. So you can still retain stealth. It's pretty stinky right there. And another reason why I wanted to mount my diesel heater on that side of the vehicle, so that stinky exhaust will not be coming in where I often have the sliding door open. Of course, wouldn't want to have it open when it's cold and be kind of wasting diesel fuel that way, but when I go in and out of the vehicle, I don't want that diesel smoke coming in, or I might have a small leak in the seams of the door. I don't want it coming in or in the window. All right. Hope you enjoyed, or actually I don't know how you could enjoy that, but hope you benefited from that information. Leave comments if you have any questions.